Hi there, this is Rob at reason101.net, and I'm here to show you another tutorial. It's my first tutorial of 2011, so Happy New Year to everybody. And in this tutorial, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to process sounds using the Thor filters. And the reason why I would do this is because if you want to use some of the filters that aren't necessarily available in some of the other devices in Reason. So let's just jump right in, and we'll create a combinator. And inside the combinator, we're going to create a 6-2 mixer. We're also going to create an audio merger splitter. Underneath that, we're going to create a maelstrom grain table. And what we're going to do, we're going to turn on oscillator B. We're going to change both signs or both waveforms to a sawtooth. And we're going to change this wave shape to this shape, and that's on both of them. And then what we're going to do is underneath that we're going to create, holding down the shift key, we're going to create a Thor synth. And the reason why we're going to use the Thor synth is because if you look in the maelstrom, there's no such thing in all of these filters. There's no such thing as a Formant filter. You have an LP filter, BP, comb, and AM filter, but you don't have a Formant filter. So we're actually going to use Thor down here to work as a Formant filter to process these sawtooth waves from the maelstrom. So put in a Formant filter here, and put in another Formant filter here, and you're going to have to turn on this filter. We're also going to move this all the way up there, and we're going to move this all the way up there, and then we're going to have to actually put it in. So we're going to do audio in 1 and audio in 2. Mount is going to be 100 for both, and the destination on the first one is going to be the filter 1 audio input. Destination on the second one is going to be filter 2 audio input. And now we're going to have to root things up. So let's turn around to the back. We're going to take this maelstrom output and send it to the splitter. And we're going to send one split up to the input on the first channel, and we're going to send another split down to the input on Thor. We're going to have to send both those cables, and then the output from Thor is going to go to another channel. So now that it's all routed up, what we'll do is we'll just take a listen to it, and you can see what's going to be happening here. Let's mute this first one. We'll just listen to the first. Okay, let's move the level down a little bit because we don't need it to be that loud. Okay, if we play a chord, it's going to sound like this. Okay, but if you put it through Thor, that's what it sounds like. Okay, so now we're just going to adjust some things. We're going to turn the attack up to about 39 or 40. The release is going to go up to about 73. And we're going to change it over here as well. Okay. The other thing we're going to do, we're going to play both in tandem because we're going to mix the original signal here on channel 1 with the process signal going through the Formants on channel 2. What I'm going to do is remove the level down a little bit. I'm going to pan this a little bit to the right, and I'm going to pan this a little bit to the left. And now that's what it sounds like. But you'll notice that the attack and the release are working on the original signal, but not on the process signal. And that's because you have to change these signals also. So let's move these up. I also forgot we're going to move the decay all the way up. Okay. And move the attack up to there, release up to about there. And now they both attack and release at the same time. Yes. So that sounds pretty good. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to spread it out a little bit on the original signal, and this is going to spread the whole signal. Okay, nice. And now that we've done that, the other thing we're going to do is we're going to have these filters cross over each other. So the way to achieve that is we're going to send this LFO signal. Let's turn the tempo sync on. We'll move this down to approximately 6.4 and go on this side because what you can do is you can choose two destinations using just one line. So over here what we're going to do is we're going to take the LFO as our source. The amount is going to be 100, meaning that destination 1 is going to go 100 on the x-axis, so it's going to go from 0 here all the way over here and then back again, like that. That's what the LFO2 is going to do. On the second one, the second amount, we're going to turn it down to minus 100, and destination 2 is going to be filter 2x. So that's going to move it this way, and they're going to both cross each other. So now if you listen to it, it just gives you that movement. Okay, that's what we want to have. We can also turn off the mod because we're not going to use that. Okay, so now everything's set up in your Thor pretty much. You can turn the envelopes down actually. Let's turn off the filter. Just keep it very basic. Okay, so that's the way this is going to sound. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take this Thor and we're going to duplicate it. We're going to flip it around, and we're going to have one other split going into this Thor, and we're going to send another output into channel 3 on the mixer. So now you've got two copies of this. You're also going to pan this a little bit to the right, bring the level down probably to about 80 or so, both of these. Okay, and we might have to turn this signal down a little bit more as well. So now this should be all set to go, and you're going to hear the same thing. It's going to be going through 4 Formant filters now. Only now, since both these Thors are doing the exact same thing, we want to change up the modulation a little bit. So the easy way to do that is let's take this destination and let's send it to the Y for both of these filters. And now this is going to go to 100 on the first one, so we want this to start at 0 and to move up to 100. This one we want to leave it there because it's going to start at 127 rather, and it's going to go all the way down to 0 and back up again. So these are going to affect the Y axis, and this Thor up here is going to affect the X axis. So now it's going to change shape. So if you listen to it, crossing differently. Let's also change the rate on this one to be 2-1, and the rates will be different for both, so it's going to even add more to that modulation. Both can be slightly off. So that's what that sounds like. Now, if it's a little too harsh for you, what you can do is you can route this. I'll do it while it's playing. You can route this both these filters, and then just move the filters up. And that just cuts the harshness out a little bit. It's going through a low-pass filter. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create an RV7000, and let's open it up. This is going to go, if you select it off of your mixer, if you select your mixer first and then create the RV7000, it's already going to set it up as a send, which is what we want. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move the decay down a little bit. The high frequency dampening, we're going to move that down. We're going to move the high EQ up a little, quite a bit actually. It's going to be a Hall algorithm. We're going to change the size down a little bit. The diffusion, I want to bring that down to 0. And the pre-delay, everything else is looking good. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the EQ and go into the EQ here. And what I'm going to do for the low gain is I'm going to move it down just a little bit, and I'm going to move the frequency down a little bit, or actually I'm going to move it up, sorry. Move it up a little, and then the gain, I'm going to move it up, well, not that much, about like that, so about 6 decibels gain. And we're going to move it probably right around there. And the EQ, we're going to bend it all the way down to 0.2 so that it creates a very smooth shape here. And then what's going to happen is, as we're playing it, we're going to mix in our reverbs. So just a little bit on the original signal. once you have that, if you're not certain if this is the right shape for it, what you can do is you can just play around with the settings and see what works. If you really want to find the sweet spot, the best thing to do is pull the gain up all the way, play it, and then cycle through. Back down again. And there's your reverb. So that essentially is how you can use some of the filters. Because the Maelstrom doesn't have those Formant filters, you can borrow the filters from Thor to process your sound over here from the Maelstrom. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope this gives you some good ideas for going forward and shaping your own sounds. Once again, I'm Rob, and you can visit me at reason101.net, and I will have many more videos to come. So thanks for listening, and thanks for watching.